Hey, welcome and thanks for joining this Facebook ads training. Really excited about talking about Facebook ads as an additional lead source to what you have going on. So I know a lot of you have boosted posts over the years. It's tempting because you post something on Facebook and then Facebook comes back to say, hey, I could get this in front of 5,000 homeowners. And then you're like, that sounds really good. And you throw $100, $200 at it. Usually it's not measured. Typically, it's not a great way to advertise. I know it's tempting, but today I want to talk about Facebook more in depth. And specifically, some items we're going to be talking on are the common waterproofing marketing dilemma, challenges to getting quality leads, why Facebook ads fail, and then I'm going to cover the 5 pillars that we think through and strategize with our Facebook ads and briefly an implementation roadmap so that you could be positioned for success. Because we have such great quality content, if you're considering Facebook ads, I'd highly recommend to shut down your distractions. I know we all like to multitask. It's very difficult though to focus if we're kind of being bombarded by a lot of different things. So do what you can there. And very briefly about myself, I do own this company, Rainmaker for Contractors. I've written the only internet marketing book for basement waterproofing and foundation repair folks in regards to digital marketing. We have a podcast, Rainmaker for Contractors. If you are a successful owner and are interested in being on that podcast, please reach out to me. I have been on the board of directors for the Basement Health Association for 15 years. My agency is a Google All-Star partner. I've been to Google a few times, and I also coach actually now 30 digital marketing agencies. So that's briefly who I am. The most important thing, though, is that we specialize in helping basement waterproofing and foundation repair contractors dominate their local market. It's what we do. It's what everyone on our team focuses on. And when everyone is working on the same thing, you get really good at focusing on one industry. You don't have to relearn every time someone new comes by with some new industry or some new idea. Okay, so the harsh reality behind most contractors is lead generation is an issue. According to Contractor Growth Network, 70% of contractors struggle getting leads. Now, when you look at the contractor world, there's lots and lots and lots of smaller contractors that don't really want to spend money on lead generation. Thus, they rely on referrals and they can never really grow and scale. The folks that we tend to deal with are definitely bigger than the 1 or 2 man show. And they do have a budget to work with. So, but regardless, if you talk to, 1,000 contractors, probably 70% of them are going to say, yeah, lead generation it's a big issue. It's the real deal. I like Facebook because it presents a lot of flexibility as far as a lead source. Still to this day, even though Facebook is viewed as sort of a older generation social media platform, you could still reach 69% of US adults every single month. That's a beautiful thing. And Facebook does allow very specific targeting. There's a couple different types of targeting you could use. We'll get into it a little bit deeper, but one strategy I like is, blanketing a whole town that you're after. That's fine. Another strategy on the total opposite spectrum, you can narrow Facebook advertising down to as small as a 1 mile radius. You could even say, all right, we're doing a job during this week. And so I want to advertise on Facebook the 2 weeks before we're going to do the job and 2 weeks after we're going to do the job within a 1 mile radius. And then when you do yard signs and when you do door knockers or knock on doors, 10 on each side of the house and across the street, that's a way to increase visibility. So there's a lot of flexibility. Now, there was a time when this is before Mark Zuckerberg was pulled in front of Congress and had to try to answer a bunch of questions he didn't want to answer. But there was a time when Facebook allowed us marketers very, very specific data on folks. And that's really been dialed back. They still have that information. They just don't allow marketers to dial in so specifically. So You can no longer say, for example, hey, we only want to target households or homeowners, and we only want to target people that make over $100,000 a year. You can't, you're not allowed to do that kind of targeting, but you can target zip codes. And you probably know the wealthier zip codes, you know where there's going to be a higher percentage of homeowners. So that's a good way to deal with targeting. Another thing you could do with Facebook is you could create lookalike audiences. So you could load up your top 20 perfect profile uh, customers and say, hey, Facebook, create a campaign based on the characteristics that you find in these 20 or 100 um, old customers. Market timing advantage, like all digital marketing, you can sort of hit the brakes and press the gas pedal according to seasons. So in waterproofing, we all know that those spring rains happen, and then sometimes you get the summer lull, but then there tends to be a push in the fall, especially in the northern states when homeowners are thinking, oh, we want to, get things right before the winter kicks in. And so you're able to adjust the budget and your spend and what you're doing based on seasonality. There's a lot of flexibility with Facebook. So what this little slide shows is here's the marketing factors on the left. This is traditional marketing and how this compares with these marketing factors. And then these are the advantages of Facebook ads. So as far as precise targeting, you can't target specific homeowners with water issues, although you could one day back in the day, but you can target neighborhoods. So when I owned my waterproofing company, I definitely spent more money on the top 10 towns that we historically did the most business in. So if I would apply that to Facebook, I would target the top 10 zip codes that we do well in. In those towns, we're able to bring in a book that shows all the different homes that we've done on various blocks, and typically someone knew somebody that got waterproofing. They would say, "Oh, wow, you did a house on 124 Sunset Avenue. I know those people." And so we played into that, and that's the kind of targeting you can do with Facebook. Geographic control, as I mentioned before, you can narrow it down to as little as 1 mile, or you can go as big as you want and do your entire city. Measurability, I love digital because you can measure your return on investment. You don't have to live by that line that says my marketing works, only half of my marketing works. The problem is I just don't know which half is working. And then lead quality. So my straight answer to lead quality with Facebook ads is because it's considered a disruptive ad, meaning if you obtained a lead through Facebook, they didn't typically search or look for a waterproofing company. They were on their phone and somehow you got their attention, or they're on Facebook and you picked them off. And so the quality is typically lower, but the cost is lower as well. But with that, if you captured their cell phone and their email address, depending on how you've got that, now you can really nurture and lean into that lead, and you could set up a lot of automation that can nurture that lead to make it into a better lead as you have to educate them. Flexibility, a lot of flexibility. When I owned my waterproofing company, once a year I would sign a contract for Yellow Pages. I would sign a big contract for mailers, and I was locked into that. And I typically dropped like 1 million mailers a month, and I did that 9 or 10 months out of the year. And if it was bombing, if the mailers were not working, I didn't have the flexibility to say, hey, this isn't working. With Facebook, there's flexibility. You couldn't increase the budget, decrease the budget, pause things altogether. So there's a lot of control with that and flexibility. And then cost control, boy, you could start, typically we recommend about $1,000 budget, but if you want to start with 500 to see what would happen, that's very doable with Facebook. So it's very affordable. So here's our 5-pillar framework. It involves precision targeting. The second aspect is creativity, which is really important. Landing page optimization, absolutely critical. You can have great creative and you get people to click, but then they don't want to go the next step. There's things that are missing there. Lead nurturing system that has a lot to do with follow-up. We're going to briefly talk on that, and then performance optimization. You don't just set it up and let it go and hope it works. You're always kind of tweaking and optimizing. So those are the 5 pillars. It's an overall view of it. First, we're starting with targeting. The best way to do the specific targeting now that Facebook has pulled back some of the controls to really go after specific people is to target zip codes or target interest. So you could target homeowner interest, and then as mentioned, you can go after various zip codes. That's the best way to do this. Now, as far as targeting, it is great to have competing campaigns to see what's going to work better. And one competing campaign, which I would highly recommend, is to just target location and then allow Facebook to do whatever it wants to do, because Facebook is super smart and there's a good chance that they're going to figure out who to go after. So if you're going to program a campaign to say like, hey, I want these zip codes, or maybe you're after a certain lookalike audience that you've uploaded, all good and fine, but then set up a competing campaign and just target the same locations and don't give it any specifics and see what happens. That's my recommendation with that. All right, creative. I love video. I love video shorts. All video shorts, in my opinion, should be like, 15 to 50 seconds long. And we all used to say 60 seconds is the key, but you know what has happened over the years is our attention span has even decreased more. And sometimes the best performing ads are even 15 to 30 seconds. So you could shorten those and you can make them really dynamic. Our brains are really getting used to processing information quickly. So you want to lean into those images, before and after photos, any customer testimonials, any kind of educational tips that you can give them. That's how it works. Don't be intimidated with, oh, it's got to be this like super professional thing. I need to go into a studio. It's not like that. Almost all the videos in today's world are made on a smartphone, and there's really high quality. All the video for smartphones is high quality. Pay attention to audio though, and pay attention to sound. Those two are very important when it comes to creative. But I'm a fan of video shorts. I think they convert way better than just static images. And always have a transcription, because a lot of videos get absorbed with the sound off and they're able to read the words, make it readable. Make sure there's a hook right away. Try to call out your audience. I like to call out the audience with images, because if they see an image that is going to resonate with them right away, now they don't have to wait to see what the video is about to see if it's for them. Those are some tips. Here is a snapshot of a video, but notice that there's a call out immediately. Got water in your basement. Now we know this ad is about water in your basement. And then the video goes into before and afters, trust indicators, social proof, and then a clear call to action. Get a free estimate. On Facebook, almost everything's mobile. Here we're sitting with, I bet everyone watching right now has a phone within 3 feet of them. And so we absorb so much. Make sure that you are critiquing everything that you're doing through mobile. A lot of times people look at a desktop and they think, oh, this looks good on desktop, and they fail to really pay attention to the mobile part. And that's the most important part. So the fourth pillar is lead nurturing. And the best advice I can give you with Facebook ads is to follow up immediately. This slide is about like 5 minutes, respond within 5 minutes. Boy, I would shorten that time to immediately, because we live in an ADD world and people's attention just goes immediately. So the best success you're going to have is with like immediately. So you could set up automation, email, text, and phone call. I would call these people if you can, like right away, to try to get them on the schedule. But then you could text out a schedule and you could send out an email, and then you could nurture that the same ways with email and text, and you can call them as well. But of course, the longer you wait, Like if you don't get them within 48 hours, the chances of getting them are very difficult. So the faster that you respond to these Facebook ads, the better off you're going to be. Okay, the last pillar is all about optimization. And the biggest takeaway that I can give you for this is if you're considering Facebook ads, don't come to the idea that in the first month you're going to decide if this works or not. I would say give it at least 3 months because Facebook wants to learn. Um, if you're managing your own account, you're going to want to learn and tweak and run split testing and really try to figure out what's going to make this lead source happen. Having owned a waterproofing company, I got some really good advice, and that is when you bring in a new lead source, you need to give it time to figure out the ins and outs of it. Don't just like, you know, oh, I did it. I tried it. I did it for a few weeks and it didn't work. That's not for us. You really got to hang out with it, spend time with it. The waterproofers that are making it work, they spend time with it, whether it's, any lead, name any lead source. They didn't just jump into it and say yes or no right away. And you got to figure out all the ins and outs. And there's usually little tweaks that take time. As far as lead cost, if you can get leads within like $35 to $50, that's awesome. As you know, if you're a waterproofing owner, that's a really inexpensive lead, especially when you're looking at LSA leads or Google ad leads. Um, so it's really inexpensive. Different markets, you're going to be paying more depending on how competitive it is. Um, yeah, your return on ad spend is going to be 3 to 5 times. You get a lot of clicks, but I don't pay attention to that as much as cost per lead. And then as far as your sales, that's going to vary. Um, but it's a different kind of a lead. One of the things I like about Facebook is it's typically not super competitive in that, oh, we called 3 companies and we're getting 3 estimates. It's not that high competitive bid. You might have just, like I mentioned, Facebook ads it's a distraction ad. So they didn't go sit down in front of the computer and say, I'm going to research the industry and get the 3 best waterproofing companies in my area. It was more like, oh, hey, oh, I saw that and I like that ad. And they're saying, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I should get that free inspection. This company seems really credible. And you make it easy for them to fill it out and you can capture their information. So that's why I like Facebook ads. And then you need to tweak. So it's all about tweaking and optimizing it and making it work for you. So that's our 5 pillars. Common pitfalls to avoid: poor targeting, um, poor creative is really important. The more creative, yeah, you know how we work. Like we're bored in today's world. We have so many visuals, so many creative visuals. Just look at the Super Bowl ads. Like they're crazy. And yeah, they put millions of dollars into them, but that's what we're exposed to. So we need to grab people's attention, and you do that with creative. So try to pay attention to that. It might be different kind of music in the background. It could be that certainly the visuals and how it moves, the pace. We like action, especially on Facebook. So pay attention to creatives, try different things. Uh, I would say avoid price-focused messaging, like say $500. I think you're gonna be drawing the wrong kind of customer. I do like the free inspection better and lean into pain points better. Depending on the season, you could say different things. And tracking is absolutely critical. Everything should be measured, and you should know how much you're spending, what you're paying per lead, and then um, you need to take it from there. But are you closing these leads? Are you getting a bunch of leads and not closing them? Can you make modifications to your sales process for these leads so that you start closing them? And then you should be measuring all that stuff. So those are common pitfalls. The integration strategy. Boy, if you could run Facebook ads and have it complement some other um, lead source, that's a really nice compliment. All the very large companies, it seems like once they reach about like 5 million, they get into branding, and branding is always hard for an owner because typically they've been measuring everything. When you get into branding, it's really hard pinpoint like how many sales am I getting from the billboard that I have that I'm paying a fortune for? It's hard to measure. Yeah, there's more TV ads that are having QR codes, but when you say, "Oh, and how'd you hear about us?" A lot of people will say, "Oh, the internet," but it gets difficult when you get into branding. But Facebook is a great way to complement an existing brand or an existing lead source. Other integration plans I did mention custom audiences. You could load your favorite, 100 customers and create a campaign on that. Another way to do it is to put a Facebook pixel on your website, and then you could show ads to anyone that's been to your website. That is a pretty inexpensive way to advertise, and it's kind of a branding play because you're only showing the ad to the people that have been to your website. And yeah, budget, you got to pay attention to what's working, what's not working, and move your money around according to what's working and what's not. So those are some integration strategies. Getting started. So there's different phases. We have, phase one, phase two, and phase three. Some of these items in here can be done faster than others. But the thing that I want to emphasize, if you're seriously considering Facebook, at least give it 3 months. Give it 3 honest months to see if it's going to work for you, and make your decision then. Like I said earlier, it's an inexpensive lead, and you tend to get more of them though. So if you're bad at follow-up, like I would say, don't waste your money. If you're great at follow-up, it could be a great opportunity for you. If you're reaching out right away, if you are into automation where you could nurture these leads, um, it could be a really good opportunity for you. Could be I like to see Facebook as an additional lead source. So in a nutshell, that's what we have. If you are interested in like a Facebook audit, or you want to talk about Facebook ads, or even if you just want a free evaluation of your online presence and how it could be improved, we're here to help. You could use that QR code, should take you to a calendar, or you can go to our website or give us a call, and we're here to help. Thanks for joining today. Hope you are leaving with some good content.